Hmm. Okay. So I was just having a lovely chat with a fellow live streamer and some of his community, and really enjoying that. Um, I'm a little bit socially tired. Plus, it is kind of it's like one of those days where the sky is lit, but it's not really sunny. It's definitely kind of gloomy out. Um, the radio is on but light, so hopefully that'll be fine. And my talking will cover it. And I know I said the thing, but I just want to see if I'm missing anything here in that chat. It goes almost every night, dancing in the moonlight, dancing in the moonlight. Everybody so good and right. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody dancing in the moonlight, dancing in the moonlight. There's a little song for you. When I look back at the chat, somebody wasn't talking about that song, but they did say something about Moonlight Dancing for magazine. Um, it's like I want to be in both places, especially while this kind of gets started and things are a bit quieter. No, I was not mean to you. It doesn't look like it. It just looked like it, I promise. No one here. I could do it at simply that, but that would be a little goofy of me, especially since it's only 4 minutes in. If it's the case in an hour, I was like, "God, I'm not doing it." Just kidding. Just kidding. And giving me likes and subscriptions and comments and money. But hey, I won't complain. And I'm just being a bit silly, but again, all those things are great, so why not? Any content creator and YouTuber and somewhat person in general, well, yeah, would like that. So, um, mm-hmm. So, mm-hmm. So, mm-hmm. So, mm-hmm. Is it skipping? Nope. Is it skipping? Nope. Is it skipping now? Is it skipping now? Again, though, both of the topics that I have lined up are very much, and I'll multitask and read this while I'm talking. Both of the, and I know it might make my eyes look a little funny, but Someone's like, you read more than usual? Just kidding. Taking that for myself. So, I mean, kindness is important, but most things I would just laugh at, which isn't necessarily the intent that people would have. I do, as I'm just typing here, have to go upstairs very briefly in a moment. Uh, that's weird. He's like, I'm follow there. No, well, it's in your channel name. Um. Anyway, I guess we'll see. But the guy whose podcast that I'm following, I think he's doing his final song. He has been rolling for almost 2 hours now, which is about as usual. But I mean, he's had different. He's been in different places. He's been trying different outfits. He's had let his hair down. He's playing by the ocean eating cake earlier, or in this one it looks like. Um, and also, he usually comes on around 11, 12 our time. He done a couple mornings, and including this morning, he was kind of early. So it's really just keeping us on our toes. And he has a song that he wraps up with, which might mean that they can tune in afterwards. So maybe I should just very quickly, you know, what I have to go do, I did do um, before I started. It's just that um, it's active sometimes. I don't even know how you say it. But anyway, he has this fa la 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 song where he kind of uh, he kind of uh, he kind of he'll like say he'll start singing to his viewers. So, for instance, he'll sing, "Jason, fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la, Kim, fa la la la, G and C." You get the idea. So I just said, it looks like it's time for the fa la las. I've got to focus on my podcast, but fa la la to everybody. Fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. Wanna bring up Christmas too. Fa la 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 la. It's too early, snow's not flying. Fa la 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 la. Christmas Day, sometimes wish was done. But I love it, la 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 la. La 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 la. It's the season almost, but always to be jolly. La 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 la. I said long, I think, because I was typing song and trying to say la at the same time. Well, you see how that worked out. Oh, poetry event. Yeah, and actually, the other day in group, um, there's not that many left, unfortunately, but they were asking. Um, um, anyway, they were asking um, what's something we're looking forward to the next coming week. And things were a bit busier for a little while, but honestly, this coming week, I should have actually said, I guess I wasn't as on the ball as I could have been. Um, it was actually on a somewhat uncomfortable chair, but anyway, because because I would have said, well, group next week. One person said that they were supposed to have bingo later that night or sometime coming up, and then they found out that it wasn't once a month. It was, or it wasn't every week. It was once a month or something. I still feel like something like that. So she was kind of saying that what she was looking for isn't to be. I can't remember if she what else she said. It's weird though. This one person was talking about like different celebrations and rituals or whatever, and then finished it off by saying, "I don't really have anything really that I rituals that I do." Unless she said other than that, that's almost familiar, but I don't think it was. I'm thinking to myself, obviously, okay, what did you just speak about then? Unless and that may have been before or after the leader said that sometimes we do them and don't realize that we're doing them. Yeah, there's only 6 people here, so why not? Might be near the very bottom though, but whatever. Um, it's probably the easiest way because I'd never know from typing or any other way. It's just too so many things go by. I got that damn Christmas song in my head now, which reminds me, and I hate to do it when he's not here, but I can let him know next time I see him. I don't see him in his chat super often, but I can let him know next time I do see him there. What video it was in, and that it's in the first 16 minutes. But there's a song, a TV show. Okay, and I'm guessing the person that was just there is not, even though they've been sitting online for a while. It seemed like his day off, or at least early. And the other one, I think, was being distracted by his little kid and may have been busy. And Jason sounds lonely, but what do you call it? Anyway, I could tell him that, and I figured it's a good thing to do this too because I've been meaning to, but distracted, and also the dog's upstairs, so he's not gonna be. distracting with his ball and making noises or whatever. But yeah, and I can let him know that I did this song because um, I watch the show every now and then. I know what they've said about Leah, and I don't know whether it's true or not. Or I mean, I think what it was is she left the boat. She was maybe raised in it. Um, but it's a kind of a funny show. I remember I showed it once to G, and I don't think he really liked the humor, but might be worth trying again. You know, I mean, lately we've been on a aside from some of the content that he's missed that I've done, we've been watching a lot of Price is Right, and I can't remember what else, but which is amusing and entertaining. But Patrick, and honestly, I think you know, so YouTube realizes this and they keep suggesting it. But I think that I and or G and I uh, are maybe getting a little bit bored of it. I mean, people that want to say that. I'm going to take that off. If they saw it, sorry. People that um, if people were to say, "Oh, I see a lot of you," well, let me know that you do then, and let's have a nice chat. But no, the thing of the matter is that is that um, I think that's very soft in the distance. Like I don't think that it's decipherable what song is playing on the radio, especially while I'm talking. Even with technical advances, it's really just some light noise. So, but I almost can. Anywho, I really do quite a variety in here, even if it's always me. I mean, that being said, earlier this week I did have a guest join me, so that was kind of nice. Um, a guest named Dawn. So feel free to check that out. Maybe I'll see what she's up to today. Which reminds me, it also puts a song in my head that I was. She is online right now. I am a little bit tired, like I say, because I was socializing there and just in general in the weather. But um, yeah, it did make me think of an old song. I'm going to turn down the radio because I am noticing it, and the heat is essentially off. It's been on all morning and through the night, so it's kind of warm in here. But I won't be taking off my shirt. I don't have that kind of body. um, but Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on? Could it be a faded rose of days gone by? Oh, did I hear you say you were taking me there today to go to the mansion in the sky? She's 41 and her daddy still calls her baby. All around the fellas say she's crazy. 'Cause she walks around with the suitcase in her hand, looking for that dark-haired man. Delta Dawn. I don't know if that's a key change or just singing it louder, to be honest, but that's how it does it. What's that flower you have on? Could it be? Anyway, I listened to it just the other day. It's a little under 3 minutes long, but over two, I think. I don't remember if there's any other lyrics, though, so those are the ones you're getting. Yeah, and this song is very short. It's a TV theme song, so it would be. But and I was introduced to this show when I was young. I had a CYW. I had a few of them. and some for a long time. And I found out from one of them, and there's a bit of a sad story connected, and the other ones, almost one of the other ones is that I'm thinking of with this is close to 80s and maybe even closer to 90 now, and might be in a senior's home, might even pass away soon. So, but apparently, I wasn't the only one that they worked with. I mean, and to clarify, that a CYW is a child youth worker. So I don't know if they were students then. They didn't seem that young. Well, I mean, she wasn't, and Jeff was, and some of the other ones were. Um, and just to clarify, or to the best of my knowledge, because I'm mentioning it, to say why I had them. Um, I had behavioral issues as a kid, I guess I would say. At the same time, I was a kid. And I think in a lot of ways, I was also a pretty good kid. That there were more bratty kids out there. But aside from that, I mean, I did do music. I have done music all my life, and some theater stuff and that kind of stuff. But I I think it was a bit for extracurricular. I think maybe what also it was they tried it once. They saw how much I enjoyed it. I may have even had more than one at one time. I feel like I maybe did. I feel like I maybe did. And I met some great people through it. As in them. Uh, one is, like I say, passed, or one is passed away. Another one might be soon to pass away. The other one I reconnected with recently, but he's not real great at staying in touch. He's not really into being on technology. I don't know about in the winter. I know he golfs a lot in the summer, and it was good. We had a couple of nice phone calls and that, and opened up a little bit. And I don't want to say he's a simple communicator or make that sound mean or whatever, but he kind of is. But anyway, one of the things that I did with some of them was go to their they would take me to their family's home. Some of them were living with their parents. One of them had her own place, and actually, then she moved and had a partner, but um, he worked out of the city somewhat, and this was, I think, before she had kids. So I don't really feel like, and I mean, she would have been working anyway, but she was also a teacher, or she became a teacher after. No, she was a teacher during, because I helped her decorate her classroom, at the start of the school year or whatever. Um, I guess before she got her students, and then probably had them do it. I'm just gonna get another water, but I did touch it earlier. I'm not sure there's much more to say, but yeah, I don't feel like like I say, her kids. We moved here and we've been living here 3 or 4 years, and I'm not gonna say where, but and her mother-in-law lived here, so she came to visit at least both of us. I don't know who else, and I had been out of. I had not worked. I had not been, I guess, her client or whatever of her probably in about 5 or 6 years, and her kids were toddlers then, so they weren't around. But I do sense that my dad, even if he has some regrets because he passed away young, I do sense that he kind of tells me that, one thing that it did give him, not to think too much into this, but one thing that it did give him was time to be with my mother. Um, he didn't know he was going to get into an auto accident and pass away. He didn't. Maybe there was a small part of him that thought something might happen. In fact, sorry. In fact, just a moment. I have felt some sort of communication from him in the past, but Earth Angels end online, and sometimes there is an imbalance, but take what appreciate what we get and everything. But I don't know if you can just but um, are all important. But I felt like his soul once told me that one of his biggest anxieties was me losing him like he lost his parents young. And I've been thinking about it a little bit actually. I never met my grandmother, but from what I sense, and I certainly haven't heard a lot about her from family. I mean, we have a very small, not very connected family, and to be honest, a lot of people didn't even really know her. Like, and it happens when you pass away young too, right? Like my mother never met her. Uh, she had long passed away, or at least a few years prior passed away before she met my father. Um, and his dad was passing away in the hospital when they met, or not long after they met. Um, and I believe they met in the city that I live in. The city, that would be great and ironic timing for the new Californian friend to tune in, named Arnold. No, just kidding. City, and actually, I played that. I think it was that song I played. No, that was Californication, which I might prefer a little bit better. Played that on the piano a few weeks ago. I don't think it was in the title, although it may have been, but I think other songs were. And as a musician, although that's not all I am, there's not. I would like to do more of that. I think, and do online gigs and that. And would I like to do non-online gigs? Yes, but with winter coming and just not driving and challenges, online would probably be the way. But anywho, so I gave them time together, and like I say, maybe my dad didn't know how he was going to pass away or when exactly, and I mattered to him as well. But you know, I don't know how long they were together before I was born, but they did have more of a connection themselves than they did with me at such a young age. Both of my parents. I mean, and that's actually quite normal, right? I mean, they've known each other longer than the few years that I would have been alive at that point. Um, and I wonder how life would be different if he was actually physically here. You know, um, and but I can't. I and others, we can't wonder those kind of things too much, because when the reality is that they aren't, then that language of accepting it. I don't want that to get misunderstood. Um, I'm not saying that we have to say that we like it or that we are okay with it, because obviously, likely not. But we do have to say, well, the reality is though that they have passed away, and I said some. I kind of was feeling deeply in a recent podcast, talking about, and I don't remember how much more I elaborated, but I may have, talking about my dad being a family man and a hard worker. I don't. It's not because of me. It's because we don't have a large family, and a lot of them just don't talk much with each other. Although my aunt apparently does text with my mother, and I says to her, she's a texter. Um, and I didn't know that she'd had a certain type of vehicle I'd never heard of. And I says to my mother the other day, it says, and it says, and interestingly, that kind of looks like her driving. But anywho, so um, one of the really sad stories I would only want to talk about in the live chat, and there's nobody here right now, so unless I belabor it, it's it's the kind of thing, like, it's something I won't forget finding out, but at the same time, it's I don't know if I should say it because I don't want to worry people. At the same time, but somebody's been here and it just doesn't look like at the moment they say, well, you better say it because I'm getting worried. No, at the same time, if you didn't hear me saying it, you might very well likely hear somebody else. But so I'd gotten to know Senator Run's son not that long ago, actually. I kept hearing the two names, and they're somewhat unique, two first names. And I can't remember if there was another. Oh, right. yeah, just a couple weeks ago. I think I even said it in one of the videos. There's all these things making me think of this person. In fact, it was the day that I first ran into this guy commenting on Maxie's who asked about this song. Anyway, she's been in a relationship. She had been in a relationship. Well, maybe it's more so that they were older than me as a kid, and I'd only ever known them together. Maybe they weren't actually together that long. But one thing that makes me think that they were is that their kids were in their 20s or probably 20s then. It may have felt more like they were in their 30s when I was young, but I think they're in their 30s now. Actually maybe not though. If she's close to 80, they might be in their 40s or 50s, and that's wild to think about that. Anywho, and I believe that they are both of their kids. One of them isn't a step parent that I have. I mean, sure, maybe they maybe just didn't say that, didn't tell me that, but at the same time, it's not like they, and yeah, I was young, so maybe they didn't. Maybe they thought I wouldn't understand what that meant because I was a late bloomer in learning about some things. I would say, but I mean, not that that was necessarily known at that time, but and I don't think I knew what it meant. Like, I lived in a small town. It wasn't very culturally diverse. It wasn't. It's like I think they have to tell me about and the back table there. It wasn't very culturally diverse. I didn't. I knew that there was a religious school in the area, but I mean, religion wasn't a part of my life. I don't even remember knowing people that were strongly religious. Um, um, Although I do think Jean and Diane may have been, or at least became such. And yeah, I didn't know about divorce or blended families. Like, I mean, it feels also weird to say it because now I definitely do, right? But we're talking. I was well under 11 because I'll never forget when my dad passed away. This lady that I'm kind of mentioning, she came. Uh, at some point that day, I mean, it all felt very fresh when it happened, right? As those kind of things would. But at some point that day, she came to the house. I don't know if she was planning to, take me out and do an activity or just stop by or whatever. And she probably hugged me. I mean, I wasn't raised a hugger, and I'm still very much a huggy type person when, given the opportunity, which isn't up enough. I mean, the healing thing, but my mother certainly isn't one. My spouse sometimes forgets it and says, at the talk at the mention of this of going through a health thing or being in pain or whatever. And my spouse is like, "Would you like a hug?" It's kind of like, and I think she takes it, but it's like I know the other day I was at the group and a couple of people said, "Your mother's passed away, right?" And I said, "No, she brought me here." I had said though the previous time a number of people. So maybe that's just how they interpreted it. And the one person that did say it has lost her mother fairly recently. So I mean that maybe makes sense. But yeah, basically um quantifiable. Basically what's the same? Yeah, they're both the kids. Um da, 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 da. Oh, right, that she came and she I remember her hugging my mother, you know, but and just to kind of reminisce and be nostalgic as I'm being here. It didn't happen the first day I heard somebody randomly ask him this song, and I'm pretty sure he. I mean, it might be syndicated in lots of different countries, but I'm pretty sure he didn't know this song. Anywho, we would do like crafts and baking, and I did these kind of things with the other ones I had too. You could say they were like a babysitter in some ways, but kind of. movies, mini golf, bowling. Um, I would love to do that sort of thing again, actually. Um, Even if it's like in the BBBS. Uh, I saw a table at a thing for them recently, and they even said that they were, you know, even the LGBT community is that because a lot of youth more than when I was growing up are and I don't want to get into a huge topic about grooming or whatever. Um, I guess one way to put it is you could say that the world is just people are just being their true selves, or discovering their true selves, and are just being, and there also happens to be kids. And kids are pretty kind. I mean, not all of them, but most kids are pretty kind and accepting. And I like words. I mean, and they're trying to. It is true. They're trying to figure themselves out slowly but surely. But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna sit here and say, and I think this is actually connected to my other thought, which is kind of one of my biggest arguments on it, that a parent should not. I mean, this is the thing. A lot of parents are, and they're just, and it is a respectful thing, but it's also a culture. There's a bit of a culture to it. Often a sense of community, just like a lot of other things have, and in some cases, their parents are, a same-sex couple, and so it's they know that it's normal, it's okay, and it's a common thing. Um, and It's just like when you have an openness to anything else, I would say, you know, you're going to it's going to be fairly obvious. And so I think that's a lot of what it is. I think it's just a lot of, you know, they're like, okay, that's fine, that's cool. And then some people get on this high horse or whatever where it's kind of like, oh, you're getting them to side with it, and it's as if it's a bad thing, you know. And also, it's their adult minds thinking about kind of the stuff about it that is more adult based. Um, I am not in the mind. I'm not a kid, and I'm not really around them all that often. So I couldn't tell you if they think of that too. All I know is that with the internet and their, you know, friends and people that they're around that don't have filters, um, you know, like I'm not the only one, kind of talking about these kind of things. And yeah, I mean, kids know so much. A lot of times they know more than the parents do. I feel like, or the parents could think, oh, I'm not letting them know about anything like this, but I bet you they're finding it. So I don't feel, I feel like I'm talking about it and approaching it in a good way. So I don't really feel like I'm doing anything, I think it might open. Oh, he's upstairs. Which door do I want to open? I don't know. This one's closer to me. Might let some damp air in. That one. Get some fresh air. It's a little stuffy in here. Surprised I'm just noticing it now. But anyway, so yeah, we did all those fun activities. I don't think I have it nearby, but not that long ago I did. Or do I? I almost think I did. I do. Let me just take a quick look over here. It's not jumping out, and I don't want to move things around much. But the one that passed away of cancer, ended up getting stage 4. She taught me photo albuming back when people had printed photos. I mean, some people still do because it's nostalgic and the old school, that it's of their generation, or at least somewhat. But yeah. Anywho, so that's a long intro. Still nobody's here though. That's the long intro to this song, and what it, why I connected to those to this person who we got to see in 2019, actually. And this is what I mean about not knowing people were religious. She'd probably been religious most of my life, and when we were going to go down there, uh, um, she said, "Well, we have a." I thought she said it was a contest, but I mean, how interesting can chili get? I don't know. I guess it could, but they had or maybe it was just a chili cook-off thing that her church was doing. But we ended up arriving in the town, or even doing the trip after it had occurred. So no chili for us. Hi, Jason, JP, bring Ripner and the other Jason and all that. Actually, that was a kind of a funny coincidence when I sit and think about it. But anywho, so like I said, it was often at her house. She lived on a farm as well. One other thing before I forget that really stands out in my mind that we did nostalgic was there was this place that we'd go to, and it started in the Netherlands somewhere, I think. And there's not many of them in the world, or there might be more than there was when the person told me that there wasn't many. And I don't remember who that was, but it's called a snooze Ellen room. And there's bubble machines, and there's fiber optic lights, and there was a colored square thing, and you dance on it, and it would play musical notes or whatever. There was I guess it was like a ball pit, like what they have at McDonald's, but like the whole room was just kind of like a very relaxed lighting. They had a rocking chair next to these fiber optic things, and you used to be able to, and you'd go and sit in it. And I mean, and it was, again, like I say, for kids with behavior issues, ADHD, autism, such and such. I don't want to, I almost hesitant to not call them behavior issues, especially as one gets older. But anywho, and yeah, you just kind of like run them through your hands. Just thinking about it, like I think about that room every now and then. Not that long ago, I was watching something on YouTube about it, but just thinking about it is actually incredibly soothing and nostalgic for me. um, but there was something else in that room, or am I thinking? Let's see, there was something in the far corner, like say that the room I'm in is the room. There was something in where I'm at now, but I can't remember what it was. I could try and find that specific one on YouTube, but one, I'm not sure if I would, and two, they may have renovated it if it even still exists. I mean, it was essentially a therapy room, and some workplaces I think have that. They're not counseling offices, but I mean, how can that thing go to style, right? Anywho, but she also had a farm, like I say, and she had dogs and cows, and I don't think she had chickens. She had a pool. Um, hmm. And they had like fields. They did like cornfields and stuff like that. Or at least the husband was always out on the tractor in the field. So, um, and I loved it. I loved it. I don't see chocolate labs very often, but not that long ago I did. I've also seen a couple black ones lately, which I oddly don't seem to see very often either. The other ones are sweet though. That was very noisy and they're almost both kind of guide dogs. Anywho, I don't think she was much of a TV person. I sort of feel like she sort of felt like, and actually I don't know if any of them were, but yeah, it was great because I got to meet some of their families too. Um, but thinking back on it, whether this was her thinking or not, I think that she thought, and it's weird also thinking back now to think that I was their employment, you know. And like I say, some of them had more than one that they worked with. I thought I was the special child that, these people just got together with me and did fun things because they wanted to. And truth be told, I'm sure they did enjoy it. I mean, that's why they got into that kind of work, and it's what they were drawn to. Like I said, looking back, the only reason I haven't done the BBS one, and they actually a number of months later said, just following up, we hadn't heard from you, is I can be a touchy feely person in general. Like, I mean, you know, with permission, and maybe that's all it would be. But then, what if it turned on us, kind of thing? Because basically, like not in the group, but it's the format. It's the format. Um, you know, that other person said she had no time or didn't go back to work because she was just, feeling so bad for what she was hearing, and I didn't even think we'd heard that much deep. A little bit, but anyway. Um, but basically, in that program, which I also had one of those, um, it's for kids and teens who have lost a parent, and in a lot of cases, actually, it's probably, come to think of it, a fairly fresh loss, recent, and one, I'd expect them to show their sadness, but when I think back about it, it's not that I never did. I was then the man of the house, and it was just me and my mother. Uh, but I wasn't a man yet. But I I think part of what it was too is I kept busy, with school, and then I did have a high school job, and then I didn't necessarily hang out with a lot of friends. I mean, the most childhood friends that I had, other than that, I did get along mostly with kids in school, that my fellow classmates, whatever. The street that we lived on for, I think, only 2 or 3 years when Dad passed, uh, had a lot of other. It was a shorter street, but no, I don't know if that would have really mattered. And there was a lot of kids. I saw it today, and the other one was as well. There was a lot of kids on or that were close to my age that lived on that street. And one had her and her two siblings. The other one was their age but had an older brother. There was a couple right across the street from us, essentially, but I think what it was. I don't remember the parents being strict. Maybe one of them was. I remember the mother being nice. I don't remember the father, but I think that he was in the picture. But they had a lot of pets. Maybe they just weren't home a lot. I can't remember. Actually, I think the Dobermans being about Dobermans. Um, or thinking about them recently. Um, One was a toddler. And the other one may have been. So maybe they were just not close enough to our age, and maybe the mother wasn't necessarily strict, but she's just like, oh, I don't want them playing with kids that are older than them that will either influence them badly or play rougher, or I don't know, who knows. Point of the matter being is that yeah. So anywho, I'm getting a little weary and tired and all that stuff and do some stuff and all that stuff. Um, uh, but the reason that oh, oops, just a minute. Hmm. The reason that I went on and on and on about all this is because, and we did talk about it. Just didn't have anything to say. The podcast didn't have anything to say. Although I guess he might not be at the. Everybody might be because it's kind of cleared up a little bit. Anyway, is because this random song that somebody asked in Maxie's chat. It's the second time today. I'm glad we got past that comment. Um, but it didn't seem to be. But he was kind of working. But he does a similar kind of work, but with the older generation actually. Um, anyway, is a TV theme song that when I was at this lady's house uh, a number of times, even though we may not have been sitting there watching it, I think sometimes I would because she would make dinner for us and they had TV like those little TV tables. So um, usually we ate at her table. I actually went had dinners at there quite often, I think. Um, but every now and then she would let me sit with her sons. Man, this is nostalgic. I miss these days. Um, nostalgia can be fun, eh? Even if it's a little bit hard sometimes. And I'd be curious to hear from you on it. Maybe I'll do a video on that topic exactly. More obviously. So far, this was supposed to be about what you do for work, but nobody's been in here to say. I have talked to a couple people in medical today, and I've talked to a construction worker. Um, I can't I can't emulate EGP at the moment because I just put this stuff up. But yeah, the mind works that quick. But maybe he never left. Maybe he's here keeping me company, and Jason, and who knows who else. And I'm just not picking up on them. And they're just, he's usually a goofball that would have something to say on a lot of things. But he's like, "Oh, would you like to turn me out? Would you like me to turn it on?" Yeah, but I saw where your mind was at. But I mean, maybe just for a freaking sense of company. Pardon my French. But anyway, so they used to watch this show. Is what I'm getting at. It took me about 50 minutes to get to it, but I've enjoyed the ride, and I hope you will too. We're rolling. But I'd like to take a moment to sit right there, tie up my key in the pencil kind of car by boop, boop. And I should acknowledge JP and Jason's spiritual presence here. Hi guys. It's like, who you calling guy, girl? Girl, guy? Whipping? What? That's not what you're thinking. Not that anybody's here to think it anyway, but I was singing a song a little earlier in this, and it made me think of a little something. And I'm not too sure what to do with those thoughts. But he's like, "Oh, I'm sure you know." But this is YouTube. I don't think I don't really think I want to hear. And it's he says, "I know. You know what? More of us are going to be arriving in a few minutes because we felt really bad about that happening to you because we know how much it meant, and even if it's recent and you haven't fully processed and all that, we just want to remind you that you've got friends still to talk with. You know, we really love how you post videos and you're trying to put the goodness out there in the world and put your music out there. Um, this song that I want to look at, I mean, I could look at general TV themes, but I don't know. But not that long ago, I was looking at the category of songs. What was it called? Miscellaneous, I think, which may not have been specific TV themes. So maybe I will look at that for a moment. I feel like not that long ago I did, but maybe I will again. But anyway, I think I drifted off when I was saying something about touchy feely, and it's kind of like, in comfort, like a hand to the hand of the man from Galilee kind of thing, not just, or like a hand on their back or whatever, like, or offering a hug, to say, to comfort. in those feelings of having lost a parent. And it might be somewhat impulsive. And whether they told me, I don't mind, I know you're trying to comfort, or not, I didn't want it to come back around to, he touched me, and that to be misinterpreted. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, even though they may have been able to connect me with someone in the area, I mean, it still would have had to, you know, done the process, which may have been a bit unfamiliar and therefore hard for me. But so when I saw them at that table for the agency, I just kind of said, I've already got the information, and felt a little sad, you know, um, at the same time, because I had one growing up, and we never stayed in touch. Unlike Wanda, speaking of her in chat recently, and you know, um, you know, when I talk about the CYWs, I mean, a lot of them were women, but there was one for sure, and I'm thinking there was another one. But then there was also a guy that played drums in a band, I believe. So there was, but then yeah, I mean the way that that program works, I was matched with a male role model. I mean, even though my dad worked a lot, you know, he was a good dad. He was a good role model as well, I would say. Um, and I'd love to do that kind of work, perhaps, or volunteering. But yes, it would be a little bit. Hi, Crystal. I think you were talking to me a few days ago. Yes, you said you were going to play. Yes. Uh, well, you know, I would love to, and maybe I'll sing a little bit of it. But I actually did do it that day. I did. And it's in the title, I'm pretty sure. So you're welcome to check that out. But I'm so glad that you're here. I guess you've subscribed. I appreciate it. Feel free to like this video as well. And basically, the part that I'm remembering is who cares if one more light goes out in a sky of a billion stars? I do. There's a little preview for you. But speaking of doing music, I do have a short one I'd like to do. And if you have any favorite TV theme songs, I don't know how long you've been here for. I think you just got here. If you have any favorite TV theme songs, feel free to suggest. Um, just thinking for a moment. Speaking about CYWs, did I have one named Crystal? Because I almost feel like I did. No. Actually, I've only known two or three Crystals. But speaking about childhood and nostalgia, I did have a teddy bear. I still have that I named Crystal when I was young. Um, well, and she's still named Crystal, and I gave her the voice and everything, as we do as kids, right? I went to a school that these days, well, it has since closed. I'm not sure why. These days would probably be seen as, it's not that they were terrible, but they had some disciplinary styles that were a little odd. It was the first school I'd ever, or maybe second, like it wasn't grade systems. Um, and I'll never forget, this is not really on that, but I've shared it with G a couple times. Um, I had this thermos that would get tighter with warm food in it. And I will never forget, I used to have, and then people always on about allergies too, but I used to have to pass it around the table for people to try to open it. And by the time it got back to me, it was open, but lunchtime was over. That's how I had to do. But there was, don't forget to like, I appreciate it. And I'm really, really glad you're here. At the moment, it's only you are. I mean, you might know Newcastle, but the schools up here are not good. That sounds bad. What sounds bad? I haven't said the bad part yet. Newcastle in the UK. Oh, that's weird. Okay, keep trying. I appreciate it. So you're in the UK then? One of the crystals I knew was my mother's neighbor actually, and she wanted to learn guitar, but it never did happen. But anyway, um, yeah, I'm in Canada. But one thing that this school would do, thinking back at it, I can't believe it. And I probably went there 3 years. One of my CYW's close friends, they were actually called Pink Sisters because she had cancer. I don't know if the other one did. And she was in one of my dreams recently, actually. Anyway, is they would they had there, like, you got it there. Thank you. They had this whole, so I must have been, it's before grade school. I feel like I was older than I probably was. I must have been about between 5 and 8, 5 and 7, something like that. And they had this room that when a kid was acting out, there was nothing else in the room, and they'd put you in it, and they'd hold the door closed. Um, they must have been able to lock it though, because I swear sometimes they weren't standing at the door. And kids would kick the. I'm surprised that I don't actually remember holes in the wall, but they would kick the walls. They would sometimes beat on the floor. It was, I know. All I'll say is this: I remember liking a lot of the teachers there. That's the thing. I do. I think they just didn't have the. I don't know. Maybe it was a popular method back then in the 80s. They didn't have the capacity. They would also do it where if one kid was specifically acting out, and occasionally it was me, um, they would bring all the other kids to another classroom or whatever, close you in the classroom, and let you throw stuff. You know, Part of me thinks that, that is how some people get out their anger. They punch a pillow, they scream, they might throw stuff, you know. But I mean, the stuff was like staplers and chairs, and it's amazing I turned out, for the most part. But but at the same time, I do have a lot of good memories. Like, speaking of neat rooms, they had a gym which had this, well, just outside of that room, they had this slanted floor, and they had these, I forget what they were called, but they were like wooden boards with wheels on them, and you could slide down them. Now I like to do that on my bike. No. And then they also had this really cool swing, and you could like get it moving and then jump on it, because I was agile and a kid then. They had a balance beam in school. Oh, you're still in school. How old are you? They had a balance beam. They had a trampoline, of course. They had, again, I feel like this. Oh, they had this donut thing. You got in it and you rolled and it looked like a donut, like a big grade 10. And I try and be the best influence I can for kids. And I don't know why it is. Maybe this is why it is, man. Maybe this is why I'm talking about, I'd love to, I guess you could say, be a teacher or a CYW and this and that. I don't know if that's really going to ever be my reality, to be honest. But it's interesting. Like, I know that I'm being kosher, and it's interesting I don't otherwise very much. Like I say, I have a small, not very connected family. Most of them are older. Any of the younger ones are getting older, and they're not in my city. I mean, I don't, and I mostly have acquaintances without kids, So it's like, and it's been a bit of a quieter chapter in my life as far as connections go. So yeah, I'm not around kids very often. We had one randomly talk to us the other day when we were out dog walking. Actually, we were playing catch with our dog in a dog area. But anywho, but yeah, I did love the school. But and I think there was a part of me that me and the other kids there, we got a bit of a thrill. Like, we wanted to get into timeout because we wanted to release that energy. We wanted to throw the stuff. That was cool. But then I don't remember having to deal with the mess afterwards. Let's just say near Edmonton. And at your young age, I'm guessing you've probably never been to Canada. But that being said, speaking about my aunt a little bit, and when you lived in Edmonton, I traveled by myself to see her, probably at the age of, again, it's hard to remember exactly, but probably about 14, 15. I used to be horrific in primary school. Yeah, I don't think I was that bad. But anywho, so the main theme of this was about employment. And I've realized something, that as much as I could be good at it in some ways and would love to do it, I don't have the degree. Working with youth, not because I'm a bad person or anything, I don't know if it's really what I should do. Yeah, we all do, right? For better or for worse. I mean, I know that one person that used to go to that school grew up to be a shoplifter. So, I mean, I'm not really. And I was looking at a social media page for one of the other girls. She used to trot around like she was a horse, like on not necessarily on all fours, but I had someone in grade school. She was younger than me, and I never, she was never in my grade or whatever. She used to kind of ski around, like pretend like she was skiing, and they did something weird in that school too. Again, great school. It's the only thing I really remember, and rip Mrs. Phillips. But they would make you walk around in your socks, or take your. They'd make you. What it maybe was is they made you take off your shoes before you went into the classroom, and then if you had to go to the washroom or whatever, you maybe just didn't put your shoes back on. Because I have a fairly vivid memory of many of us walking around the halls in our socks, and it's not that they didn't clean the floors, but I mean, it was probably more so just that I was a kid. Some of our socks got kind of grimy sometimes. Our shoes were probably cleaner. But instructors started thinking for colleges for me. So kind of speaking about career, as was one of the themes of this video, and I'm unemployed. I have lots of career hopes, but some of them aren't as strong as they used to be, even though I still like the stuff. The music, the photography, the coaching. I do it when I can. But what are you thinking of going to college for? Dressage. Wait a minute. Is that to do with people or horses? Well, the word dressage, I fairly strongly think has to do with horses. That's absolutely amazing, and I'm going to tell you why. Of course I am. Earlier in this video, I was talking about losing my dad. Just a few years younger than you are, actually. He worked with horses. He was a blacksmith. He drove a horse carriage in downtown Windsor for a while. Somewhere on that messy shelf is the horse that my mother gave me that was part of a flower display at his funeral. But Ren had cows. My dad could be seen as like a horse whisperer. And I guess you could say, being nostalgic, I've thought of him a little bit while doing this. And that very niche mention that you just mentioned certainly brought it home as well. I can only bring him home spiritually now, until I go home, you know. And to speak of that song that we were mentioning earlier, even though I do feel his spirit around, it's hard. It gets easier, but it's still hard because, well, obvious reasons, right? So I hope that you mostly get along with your parents and that they're easy to get along with. And I said that to someone else of this age group that was watching too. I compete in art. So do you post this out of curiosity? I used to love to watch the horse jumpings. So it's for disabled. Oh, okay. And so do I. I'd be curious to know about that a little bit too, and what we relate to. This is probably one of the reasons why we were meant to connect. Uh, you know, but what's important with disabilities is to know that they shouldn't hold us back, even if they sometimes feel like they do. I know Halloween is coming soon, and this and that, and I don't know if you're watching with headphones and that, and this has nothing really to do with Halloween, but some people may see it this way because of the media. I have felt his spiritual presence and others, and I've channeled them. And in fact, just a little bit before you tuned in, my friend JP, or maybe it was his boyfriend Jason, says to me that others were going to come and visit from heaven. When this happens, it's very nice. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it's very nice. And I am sensing my dad right now. I'm just going to get this out. And he's just saying, I'm really proud of the role model and the person you are and are trying to be for others. He says, I couldn't be happier. He says, I may not have raised you for very long in your life before I passed, but I'm happy. I'm proud about what I see. I'm sorry to hear you don't get along with your parents. Oh, well, because of age. Oh, really? Okay. Hmm. I see. Well, maybe eventually you'll be able to. Um, so is that just for the youth that don't film it? I mean, it's horse riding, or is it like everything there? I mean, I went to horse camps when I was young too. Actually, come to think of that, and that's in an album that might be even. I saw that even more recently, but I don't know where. I do have to go as one of my horses says, "Oh goodness gracious." Okay, yeah. Hopefully you will be back soon, and either on this one, which I'll probably wrap up soon because I've been rolling for a while, and other ones. Yeah, it's never good when a horse gets loose. G's sister recently passed away, and a year or two prior, she had a horse get loose. I don't know if they ever came back. They can be good at finding their way home, I think, and they're a little bit easier to catch. Well, kind of because they're bigger, right? But yeah, I mean, you're still here. You should probably, unless somebody else is helping catch them too, you should probably go do that. They're like our family, our pets, right? Even the big ones. So, or maybe you just stayed on so that it looks like somebody is still watching, but you have okay. I was gonna say, although now that I mention it, it would have been nice if you had maybe, but it's okay. I'm probably gonna wrap up soon. Actually, that was amazing. That was amazing. Very unique. I think. I mean, it's not like there's not a lot of horses in the world, and I don't want to talk about otherwise. But there's, and like I say, I did it in my youth, but I don't think that there's a lot of, I don't know, and not just that you have horses, but that you do all this neat stuff with them. I mean, I think what's today, and then also, that's really ironic too because my mother's dashboard on her car the other day, I said it's 41414, and then 14 degrees, and she said, "Yeah, it's not just 414. There's the other 14." I says, "I just said that. I saw the big picture." Um, and then we saw and that's symbolic as well. Yeah, Crystal, you have to talk like this. Speaking of funny voices, as I was the other day. I'm not sure if Don's going to tune into this, and if it's really long, I better have good numbers. But it's a short song, and honestly, I don't know how much energy I have. I don't necessarily want to die of pure exhaustion doing what I love like my dad did. I mean, there's a part of me maybe that does, but I don't really. He delivered papers, he did the blacksmithing during the day, that in the wee hours of the morning, and the other thing at night. But I'm so glad that I feel a spiritual connection to him now because I don't necessarily feel like I had him very much in my life. I did. We did a lot of camping. I went to the farms he worked on sometimes. He was home sometimes. But I think that if we would have known he was going to pass away, we may have done some things differently. No regrets necessarily, but we would have maybe done some things differently and possibly not fought as much. But at the same time, um, sorry, there's some noisy kids going past. Speaking of kids, That's something I like. I know I say they get with each other, but anywho, is yeah. I don't know why it's so hot in here. The heat's off, but now it would have been really interesting if that had been the first time I'd ever channeled, but it wasn't. But that's fine. And not, it's also really nice to see that even though she used some abbreviations, like she um, put some really nice comments and really good at the writing. See, sometimes good things come to those who wait, right? I'm going to be a bit worried about that horse, so hopefully I will hear from her on one video or another before long. I know she's going to be looking for that one, which I did for her, but she didn't see. So maybe this person will see this, and I can tell them it'll be at the very end, probably. But that they can watch as much of this as they want. But I don't know if a horse is like a moose in the sense that they can, cause some pretty bad auto accidents and stuff. I mean, it's always hard losing a pet, but like a big pet, like a larger than life pet, that would be really hard. It's interesting to think about if I was to go through that too, if I had a horse, as much as I would feel like it was going to go be with my dad and run around in heaven, I'd also maybe feel like my dad died again. That's very interesting to hear that, to think that. There have been other things in my life where I've kind of felt that, but I can't remember what they are at the moment. And I'm not going to sit here and try to either. Yeah, the schools in the UK are quite strict, I would imagine. But then they can be in a lot of places, as I mentioned. I like how she typed horrific. I don't know if she thinks that's how it's spelled or not, but horrific. Her. Been her. Bun her, done that. Been her, done her. And she hates being in school. I miss it. I miss it. And I know I can't be the only one. And I think she's about colleges as colors. So I did a lot in my youth too. I mean, my instructor started thinking. I don't know if that means the horse I love from me when I was 13, selling in dresses. So you look at my profile pic. Oh yeah, you can see what I do. 38 national championships for disabled riders, as I have some disabilities myself. I wish she was still here because I could also tell her about that video that I did. I did it. It comes up occasionally because I do live with struggles. Thankfully, not as bad as some, but I do. I'm thinking of one particular video that I had, yeah, that is in my live streams that fits that. Either she didn't agree with it and just didn't want to be mean, or maybe she was a little bit like, did I just find out my horse got loose? Am I imagining that? But I mean, when you have horses, it is something that happens from time to time. I don't know if it's more common that they jump off out of the fence or somehow unlatch a gate or somebody leaves it open. I mean, and it can be without intent either. Like you thought it closed, but it popped open again. It's almost good to become a little OCD about that, perhaps. Keep me filmed for insurance purposes and stuff. Keep me safe in a way. But I'll be back soon, hopefully. Anyway, so nobody's here at the moment. Don't saw that message, but then went offline. But I don't know if Fran is, but then it went back to that what looked like Scott and prayers for my friend Anne and Chris, Jonathan, um, and others. She had a fine sleep, woke up, went to work. When I think about losses, part of me feels like if I didn't call G for a moment, I wouldn't necessarily have regrets because we really do enjoy life together and know the love that's there. But there's a part of me, but I mean, I'm tired. And what would I say? You know, some people say, tell the people that you love them while you have the chance, but you can show it too. And you know it when you know it. I would say that I should have taken that advice about my dad, who was, I think, probably my first loss that like that. I I should have taken it then because I didn't do it enough. I had, and it's like going back to that. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, not much, but a little bit. I mean, I certainly said a lot of I hate yous. It actually really hurts my heart to think that as a bratty kid, when I was getting spanked or told to go to my room, um, or just shouted at, which I've never liked that kind of thing. Um, Still don't, except for thinking. I possibly even said occasionally, whether I'm not saying that, I hope you die. I hate you. So many of us as youth, I think, do that. So I really have been a good son for my mother. I think she's finally started to see that a little bit. But it's hard to get past the things that have happened. Um, but he knows how important he is to me now, and that I feel bad, and that we try to keep it behind us. Um, and I don't know, I don't remember what, other than that we were talking about him, or I am. I don't remember what made me think to say that. Oh, but what I will say, because it may have seemed very random, especially before she said her age, the other thing is when I was a kid and I went to that school, I was around a lot of female teachers, and a lot of them had long hair. I used to play dress up, never all the way. Oh, these days. And I used to put towels on my head and pretend I had long hair. Sometimes I'd put it back, sometimes I wouldn't. And I also, I don't remember if they did this, but they must have. I think they probably did. Oh, but yeah, just that he knows it now. Maybe he didn't feel it enough then. And speaking of this assignment I was trying to do the other day, maybe that's an answer that I could put is, and I think he does know it either way, but is that I'm sorry that I was like that. It's like, I know. You don't need to hold on to that. Okay, then I won't. But speaking about the bear, other than the name connection there, and of course, as a kid, you bring these kind of toys with you where a lot of places you go. So I did do that, but I also maybe I always had it in me to be a wrangler. No, to be a. I was being influenced as a child, right? It was one way that I was influenced. And maybe, quite possibly, although I did outgrow this for the most part, but talking about human behavior and that, maybe it's quite possible that I um, I I said something a little earlier about how I think some of us liked when that happened, and we got to act out and like say throw stuff. Um, Maybe there was a part of me that liked to be on the other side of that too, and it's kind of maybe I was taking out frustration, even though I loved my childhood stuffed animal. And this is the only, I don't think it was the only one, but it's the only one I remember doing it with. You know, when I got her, she was a fluffy, nice white bear. Um, a lot of the fluff thinned out, and she had to get stitches a few times. So did I when I was, well, I was still living on King Street before Dad passed. So that must have been between the ages of 8 and 11, probably, or 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. But I used to get on top of her and hold her arms back. I mean, I also gave her a lot of love, but and hold her arms back and pin her down. I don't remember that strongly happening at TSC, but maybe it did. You know, I make this place sound terrible. I don't know how recently they closed up. Every now and then I look it up, and I don't remember finding the answer, but I'm pretty sure they did. Uh, but they were at least around for the 3 or 4 years I went there. Um, and prior to that, for a few. And again, some of the teachers were very nice. I think it was just when you're dealing with kids, young kids, that are a handful. I don't know, maybe it's not that unusual, even these days. I don't know. Because I'm thinking, and it's not like you can just send the one to their room or on a timeout when you're in a school setting and you have so many. I mean, what do you do? I mean, here they sometimes walk them on leashes when they take them out for walks so they don't run out on the road. I somewhat feel bad, but I get it, you know. But what do you do then? Like, I don't, you know, otherwise. Like, so I do feel like they did the best that they could. But, I mean, probably these days it's more recommended that you get expelled or sent home so like parents can deal with you and put you in behavioral programs or whatever, right? Like, I mean, uh, they are probably allowed to make some level of physical contact. And I don't remember myself or anybody else getting slapped or pushed down or anything like that. It's like if you fell to the ground, okay, then they're gonna hold you down. And then, you know, I'm sure they made some wrestling fans out of that. You know, but anyway, I should probably do that song, and um, I can let that fella know that just a little bit. I can let that fella know that I did it, and it's near the end of this. Um, I kind of relate to it. Too bad it's not Friday, but yeah. So what I was saying? Yeah, it's going okay. Did a podcast. Yeah, it's busy. Okay, like any other day. I don't feel like it's necessary, and hopefully, you know, he makes it home okay, and life goes on for both of us for a long time. You know. Um, I'm just looking at this though, and I should have noticed it earlier. I might have to do it on piano, and because it's so specific, I think I will close that. Just because there's a C sharp, it's very short. I mean, it's a theme song, like I say, so it feels a little awkward because like it's hard to get into it. but I'm gonna. Then I'm gonna go get the dog. I'm upstairs for a bit. Do some other things online. Maybe step out for a few minutes of fresh air. I think school nearby is letting out soon though, so it's just gonna take the change of scenery. And for those that follow us on here often, you'll recognize the area as the piano area. And yeah. I thought to keep this open, but it doesn't really seem to make much difference. It's wet and kind of gray out, but it's not as cold out as I thought it was going to be honest. I say that, but I will follow it in saying that I may or may not have heard that I was kind of breathing, because I did kind of breathe in the fresh air and I saw my breath. And in this video, some of the things that came up, you almost got to the breath. But no, you saw my breath, or I saw my breath. Yeah, it didn't feel like it was that cold, but it could just be the moisture in the air and the fact that it is mid-October, so it's, All right. Now that that's closed, though, actually the AC is still connected. The one upstairs isn't. I know it might seem weird on a rainy day, but it's stuffy in here, and I think I want it on. And oh, did you know? JP and Jason were sitting on that chair, and apparently they pulled their legs to their chest, kind of. Speaking of chest, when I went past, because it's a little bit of a tight corner, and them and Dad, and I said some others, kind of like their energy is dipping in and out. I don't know that maybe the largest part of, or the strongest aura of their spiritual energy is not here, which I don't know if I've ever experienced that before, but it's like they're here, but they can't stay long or something like that. Like, I would hate to think that there's just a fragment of them here. Like, that sounds odd, even though some people might think that way. But I sense them around, and I saw them going like this, which does not mean go jump in the shower and dry off. Can I do it with this? Because this bag came down with me, and I feel like there's meant to be a reason for that. And I don't really want to do it with that, even though I did get that scarf. Okay, so I'll be right back. I don't have a spiritual connection, it's because that's what it's I don't know how it's going to get home dry. But have the heat on. Neither is an electric one. Have the heat on. Well, to do your best to enjoy life. And in case I don't get around to it later, but I probably will, she says, "Happy early birthday." And I'm kidding. I have clear audience occasionally, and they're like, "Yeah, here's the cupcake, woo!" Not that noteworthy. He said, "You should see how long he's had that cake." Well, only a few days. You need to see how long he's planning to have it without eating it. Only a few weeks. Did I say that only a few weeks? I think I did. I just heard you say it. Yeah, was it me or my angel? That's what I'm really asking. I really want to know. Ah, ba, ba, ba. Hey, Kathleen, I get it. Like I don't usually, they're not that sweet. They're more of a buttercream. So um, every now and then, but not often, I feel a physical symptom that they would have felt, and I just felt the bottom part of my gum line. In a way, I didn't feel I even had one or two of those earlier today. And I probably shouldn't have more now. um, and I think it dissipated. I think it dissipated. Doing well, and I'm very happy to see that. Yeah, I'm always happy to be doing well too. As many people would be. I kind of asked her in my mind, and she's saying, and there was a couple times I mentioned it before she got to see one or two of those videos actually, or those parts. And then there was, I think very briefly once since. It hasn't been that long, but she's coming through with a humor though, which is nice for being showing this back to G later, because she says. I'm doing well, thanks for asking, and I hadn't asked. What makes you think I care? Just kidding. No, but sorry, I should, I will say to G when we watch this back later, I'll say, listen, I'm out of the crossroads. Anyway, it's about this fall. Even though sometimes you can be surprised, I don't think it's super likely that's going to splash, and I'll be careful. But anywho, I'm actually going to put it in the microwave a bit longer because I want it for my throat. Second time I've had it. Feel like the water wasn't, just cold. Although I do sometimes. Before that, I was typing, and I can't keep myself company at home as that. But just told, I've been talking for almost an hour and 41 minutes. So, well, actually, exactly an hour and 41 minutes and a few seconds. So, I hate this light dimension. You can't seem to get it off either. There we go. Kind of pushed in. So my throat's a bit sore. Also, cough, not really coughing, like a tickle almost, or an itchiness. And then I had the weirdest cold the other day. I wonder if I've set a Guinness record. There's Guinness records for the longest case of the hiccups and things like that. And I almost wonder if I set one for the shortest cold. Yeah, really need to get that weird. Which is good because it spreads things on it. But the shortest cold, I had a meeting to go to the other day, and it's only 4 in the series. So I keep getting up. I'm just going to get myself on the machine. Fragrance of love. Anywho, and I had to go to a meeting. There was only 4 in the series, and this was the second one. I didn't want to miss it. I kind of wanted to come in a bit later than I did because of the one part which you did say heads up, the song is drinking in it, and one person did leave the room. Only one. But they could have just picked a song that didn't, and they had the time. They should have realized it was, anyway, but I thought of some things and stuff. But I don't know what to say in an intro anyway, so even if they give a bit of prompt, it still might not. And I was kind of quiet, but believe it or not. But anyway, basically, the point of the matter is that I had the sniffles and a runny nose before I left, even after having a shower. I think it was still there a little bit. Then it was a warm and stuffy room with a lot of people in it, and my back was sore because of that chair. But I actually felt better while I was there and afterwards, and it's like I just got a few germs. Anywho, on that note, and after a whole bunch of nostalgic storytelling, I get to this song. I'm kind of thankful that it's short, to be honest, because that's the energy that I have right now. The kid's still rolling. Is almost 2 hours in. This is the old math. No, it's actually the new math. But anyway, I was kidding. I don't know if I'm gonna meet and it'd be hard to get out if I did. Let's just do it like this and it's a little bit both maybe. But if it's 3:30 there, 1:30 she might be heading to pick up her kids if they need to be picked up from school, and if it's although she may have just tuned in, I'm not sure. But if it's 3:30, then she's probably picking them up if they need to be picked up, which was something else my dad always did. Just so you know. But anyway, name this tune, and if you have any, I don't know if I should say the genre or not, and if you have any other favorite things in this genre, it might have to be next time, but feel free to ask. Oh, I love that chord. It's ironic because actually Kathleen had a sunshine. Still does in a way. I don't know if she's gonna know this. I mean, if she watches TV, she might, but otherwise, I'm not sure if she will. This is a fun little melody. I never haven't really sung this song out loud very much. And when it came up in that chat earlier, I says, yeah. Then I noticed the chat was working because the video ended. And I says, I just sang it out loud, and it was actually kind of fun. Welcome to Berlin. Speaking of share earlier, do I want to do that? Or do I want to make it feel so heavy? I saw a sign within that same chat, I think, or yeah, I think it's the only one I've been in actually today that made me think to do it, so maybe I will. But maybe I'll do that one first and then come back to this one. Some theme songs are quite long, or there's more to them than we realize, but that's all I know of this one. But so you'll be thinking you're crazy having that AC on. And I am. But I'm cool. Or at least not feeling stuffy. That's the main thing. I'm feeling Buffy. Where's Muffy? Just kidding. Okay. Given a little bit more bang for the buck, perhaps, because I'll probably do that song again, so we might catch a little bit of this bit. But there was some real nuggets said in the earlier part, and I'd love to hear what you might say. Got a little extra. Don't give it to the band. Oh, that's nice. You may not be guilty. Speaking of guilty, but you're ready to confess. Now, love to burn. You can dream of. Yeah, oh, that's ironic. I did this song not long ago, and I'm not super familiar with it. But the name Jesse is ironic because I knew somebody with a dog named Jesse, and we were talking about people from that part of Ontario, and also that trip that I took in 2019, and also dogs, and then also Ray's stepson. Keep your statue up. Name yourself San Joda. Welcome to the everyone is dying. Put your money in my hand. If you want a little extra, well, you know where I am. There's something very wrong. Playing with your mind. Not the end of the day. You're just a bump and grind. So a little more. Add a little slow. Ooh. Welcome to winging it. Winging it and singing it and also kind of singing it. Okay, so I'm going to sing that song now that I noodled through. And then we'll wrap this up. Maxies are quite long too, so any fan of Maxi is any fan of mine, any fan of mine. Oh, you can't hurry life as opposed to can't hurry love. Let's write that together. Right? Gotta hear him say, yeah, yeah, I like it that way. Yeah, baby. And they are. So, um, she was from my hometown. I never played this song, I don't think, but I think I'm going to because it's fun, and I heard it on the radio recently. And she's originally from my hometown. Did I just say that? I meant to. I don't know if I really like the lyrics. I think they're a little bit judgy, but I like the tune. Let's go, girl. Oh, that's not the right song. Did I type that? Um, what was I just singing? Now I forget. I wish there was someone here to remind me. Can um, I mean, she's got some other good songs too, but I am sort of feeling musical, and I should let the dog go. But he may lay good, he may not. He may get into things, he might get involved into things, he might just be distracting. I think I know what song it was. It's in the latter part of the alphabet, but this is popular ones. This is the one. That is a fun one, though. I just got to sing this one part of that other song. And it's about a certain thing, but it's just a fun line to say. No one needs to know right now. For my night, only you can do it right. Canadian Idol just ain't a talented man, and they just do not know right now. It was years ago, but I thought of it recently. I think of it from time to time, actually. Of course, he'd say that then. Not just but I get that away. Anyone of mine never walk the road. There's someone who knows how the story goes. Away. Anyone of mine, let it fall the road. we go. Anyone of mine. Like it that away. Anyone of mine. Anyone of mine. Someone to know how this story's gonna go. I recently learned, I can't remember where she's at, but there's some pretty bad earthquakes going on in certain places of the world. Many, probably. And let's keep them in our thoughts and prayers, eh? Don't need to know right now. Oh, only you can make it right. I need a color. Can't be to make a big plan. You know, get my country playing thing on, and there it is. I see you getting weary. Sitting here in traffic on the Queensboro Bridge tonight. I don't care 'cause all I wanna do is cash my check, drive right home to you. Baby, all my life I will be driving home. Oh, to you. Bridge tonight. All I want, yeah, all my life I will. You're the one that I love. You're the one that I kiss. That's Justin Bieber. I should close it, but I can be honest, no? And I can't because I love him too much. What about if I just love my own? That's what I'm supposed to do, right? So I hear. I don't need more badly. I don't need to see those for that. Oh, right. Absolutely nothing. Ah, Sugi! I just want to play a little bit of the chorus of this one, and then I'm wrap it up. pushing through. I should have known every road leads me back to you. Every long lost road led me to where you are. They were like northern stars. Anyway, I don't know why I thought of that song, but I did. So there you have it. There you have it, there you have it, there you. Woo! Let's party, let's party. Gonna party in the USA. We're saying gonna party. Anyway, don't mind me. I don't know much songs about party. Actually, we're having a party. Oh, whoa. A party for two. Do not care what you wear, if anything. There's only gonna be you and me and a few there. We're having a party. Oh, oh, oh. Anyway, I really have utilized all of my energy, every last ounce of my energy in this podcast. Going back down memory lane and nostalgia and hopes and dreams and music and all that stuff. And I'd love to take that journey with you guys more as well. I don't know what else I'm going to share. I mean, in the past few months, I've actually opened up about a few things about my life. And I mean, because like I say, it's not always just about music. And sometimes music says it, you know. And I don't really know too much. But I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear what you think about mine. And we'll relate. We'll find common ground. We'll learn. We'll have fun. We'll laugh. We'll think of more songs. And we'll talk again soon, all right? Take care, everybody. Have a great day.